Analytics. Here on LinkedIn, we are Friday, 26th September. Uh, it's a space for HR leaders, innovator, futurists, shaping the future of work. Today, my name is Nicolas Bevani, LinkedIn Top Voice. I'm thrilled to be with you today during 1 hour. It's a lunchtime here in Paris, also in UK for George. Hello, George. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, I'm very glad to be with you today again for this week to discuss about one of the subjects about HR is about whenever you are in the home office, you are in the workplace, it's exactly the right time to discuss about your career, about the future of work. Today's session is packed with insight, stories, and practical takeaways. I promise it will be worth every minute of your lunch break. Before we dive in into our main conversation, I'm delighted to welcome Christina Kleina. Christina Kleina, good afternoon. It's the same time for you as well. How are you?
Hello, I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me, Nicholas. I'm really glad to participate at your event today.
Thank you so much, Christina. Christina is the founder and CEO of PB Founding, a personal branding strategic and advisor who lives in Germany. So, Christina helped leaders, executive, HR executive, of course, as well, and founders to build high trust personal brands. That's powerful. They are powerful, strategic, and refined. She partners with visionary professionals who know that, say, high-end industry reputation is everything. They don't chase clients, they attract them. They don't market like the masses, they build trust, credibility, and exclusivity. So Christina crafts personal brands that commands in presence, attract partnership, and unlock high-level opportunities. Christina, we are very glad and a pleasure to have you with George, today to discuss about this topic. That's a fascinating topic for me because I was not aware that, we need a personal branding. Um, so we will discuss during this 1 hour. I would like, to everyone, you are joining us today. In the comments, please drop your location so we can see where are you come from, and George will take care of any of your questions that you will have during this session today, and we try with Christina to answer all your questions. So put your location in the chat. Before we dive in, let's pause on today's title. Christina, the question that I have first of all to you is, what is personal branding and why it's important for HR leaders to have a personal branding? What is your thoughts?
Yeah, well, personal branding is how you show up in this world, right? A lot of people nowadays confuse it with your social media presence. While personal branding is actually how you show up in the world, in like digital world as well as the real world. So it's your social media, it's your network, it's your public presence on events or things like that. So however you present yourself, who you associate yourself with, or like your values, your professional state, that all goes inside of personal branding, right?
Yeah.
So so it is important for everyone nowadays to develop it, right? Both in online as well as in real world. And if we talk in particular about HR, like the whole personal branding space started about 2 3 years ago, and it started from founders and like entrepreneurs because they looked at the creator economy and how influencers were developing their brands and companies online, right? But slowly it kind of transitioned into all the other different areas of corporate as well as the business world. Like the whole marketing and branding is changing nowadays totally. And when it comes to personal branding in particular, a lot of people confuse it, right? That they think that personal branding is only for influencers or, for example, entrepreneurs. But we're coming into times where it's literally necessary for everyone who is willing to stand out in the market, attract new opportunities, try and improve their reputation, and etc. So when we talk about HR leaders, it is a must-have for HR leaders
Absolutely,
Go into
Christina.
details, like after we go into the slides and the topics, I'll go into more details of like how it is interesting to present yourself as an HR leader with a personal brand, right?
Amazing, amazing, Christina. Because that was, the question that I ask myself. Because personal branding should be only for influencer, those that they are in TikTok, they are in YouTube, etc. But not as leaders or HR leaders or business leaders. And when you came back, with this come with this topic about personal branding for leaders, was very interesting to see why it's so important, to have this personal branding important, and why it's today's in the today world with AI, with everything going to the AI, human leadership, etc., is important. And we will deep dive into this with you today, and it's very important, to look at it. So first of all, we need, to look at, personal branding, and I would like, to share topic that one findings that I have shared. We talk about future of HR. We often focus on system analytics, transformation frameworks, but at the heart of it lies something deeply human: how we show up as a professional leaders and trusted voices. Right? This slide reminds us that talent management life cycle, anticipating, attracting, engaging, and developing, is behind every one of these steps stand for HR professional with credibility, influence, ability to inspire, and trust are shaped not only by their expertise but also by their personal brand. In the age of AI, it's no longer enough for HR and silence um, and silent architect of culture. HR leaders must also be visible, right? Is a visibility, trusted, intentional about the way that they are perceived. That's why I would like, Christina, to explain us how can HR professional craft a personal brand not only elevates their own career, but also strengthens the trust and influence of HR function as a whole.
Well, when it comes to personal branding and how I work with my clients, we always look at it from three perspectives. So we want to look at the person from the psychology side, like what's his values, what are his goals, what does he stand for, what is his vision, like where does he see himself in 5 years' time, so that he can like reverse engineer it right to the where he is today. And when we are done with that, so that we understand like the psychological profile of the person, we then go into the business side of the things, right? So if you're a founder, that would be your business, your offer, your ICP, your marketing persona profiling, and etc. If we talk about HR leaders and if we talk about corporates in general, that would be the company that they're currently working in, or in case they want to change companies, fields, whatever, we always want to start building our personal brand based on like where we want to go, based on our direction. So that's why the understanding of the vision is very important. And when we speak about HR leaders and that business side of things, so we want to think about what is the company that we represent, right? What are the values of the company? What is the company trying to achieve? What is the culture of the company? How can we couple it together with our like psychological profile in order to show up online and offline, both in the most attractive way, I would say. Attractive in a way that for HR leaders, the goal is to attract people, new candidates into the company, right? And to make sure the current people who are working there are feeling good and doing like feeling good and working well and understanding each other and things like that. So when we look at the business side for HR leaders, we want to understand the values of the company. How do we couple it together with our psychological profile, right? In order to generate attention, generate positive culture appearance on the company, on the online, right? As well as generate attention, but attention in the right direction, right? Attention from the right people. And then obviously we then figure out a social media strategy for that, as well as like the networking strategy, the real world strategy, like the events and etc.
Yeah. No, it's totally interesting, how there is a strategy behind this personal branding because, and it's true that, when we think about a company, big, uh, major company, we think more about the person who is leading this company. When we are thinking about Tesla, we are thinking about Elon Musk, right? More than, Tesla. Behind each, name of the company brand is a person. And do you agree with about that? Do you work on that as well?
100%. Like Elon Musk is one of my examples. Usually, when I sometimes do my sales speech, is like nowadays, especially with like the whole AI coming into the picture and the whole automations and etc. A lot of jobs are being lost, right? A lot of things are going to be automated. So what's going to be left? There are going to be people who are left. And when we talk about businesses, people buy from people.
Yeah.
So we always remember, like we go to that company, we buy that product, and he's like the leader of the company, right? And especially we have already seen that it works in this way because of the creator economy, because of the influencers, because what they do, they all set up products, they all set up things that they sell, right? But people buy that product only because it's advertised from that creator, from that influencer. Or why do huge corporations cooperate with such influencers to promote their products, right? Because people buy from people. So that's the future of the businesses, right? We buy from people, and so when we're talking about a certain company, a certain product, it's amazing when a person is representing it.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's very important. Also, if as a negative personal branding can affect the business, can affect the sales, and we saw actually with the example of Elon Musk that his behavior also impact his business as well in a way. So that's why positive personal branding equal positive business, and negative is also impacting negatively. And I do you think that is a negative personal branding can be harder to correct to how many times it required for a personal brand negative personal branding to become positive? How much time you spend, for example?
Well, I've had a lot of luck with my clients. I haven't had any negative experience at that point that we did something wrongly. That there's such an expression online. It's called cancelled. Like when you write something and you get cancelled, which in theory is actually strange words to say. Cancelled, you can't get cancelled, right? You just get negative feedback, and then you come back, you show up next morning, and you show up as you are. So I haven't had personally an experience with any of my clients that we had something negative online, which is good. But in my opinion, like when when you start posting, when you start showing up online, you should really understand and distinguish that every piece of content can be an investment as well as a liability, right? So whatever you put online, like you have to be responsible for the words you say. And for that reason, you do want to be careful. And although like there's this huge understanding that a personal brand has to be authentic and etc., it does have to be authentic. That's true. We do want to show up as the best versions of ourselves, right? Being reliable, transparent, and etc. But there's a certain border also that we don't want necessarily to cross, that then can kind of protect our reputation, and that is by really putting boundaries of what it is that you want to put online. So for example, when I work with my clients, we establish that right at the beginning. Do we want to have a very open, a very casual, authentic personal brand, or do we want it to be more on the control side, that we, for example, don't want necessarily to speak about our private lives, or things like that. So in order to protect the reputation, you do want to really understand that every piece of content is either investment or a liability. And we always want to focus on the investment part.
No, that's very interesting, Christina, because when we think about personal branding, we think about control. You use the word control. Is it, always under control? Personal branding it should be under control, or we can, discuss, as we do today, openly and informal discussion.
Yes, exactly. So it comes to the industry that you're in, right? There are certain types of industries, or for example, also roles and also personalities, right? The ones, for example, when I work with my clients, we always look at the personality type. So you have people, right? You have people extroverted, you have people introverted, and you have people who are rational or who are emotional. And when we look at those qualities, then this is where we understand: do we want our personal brand to be controlled or to be fully opened? And it also comes down to the industry, right? When we are involved into, I would say, simpler businesses, simply in a way of like that they don't touch any controversial topics. Maybe when we talk about food items, like I think in any area there can be controversy, but when we speak about, for example, Texas, compared to when we speak about, I don't know, bubble tea,
Yeah.
these two founders of those businesses, for example, they would have totally different personal brands, and like one can speak more openly about, I don't know, the taste of the bubble tea, but the other one, when he talks about the tax and the conflicts that he can arise with his audience, like there you have to be a little bit more careful. So it does depend on the industry and on the role you're in and how you are also as a person, open or more controlled.
Yeah.
Jose has actually asked a question. He says, how do you handle the rise of the bots online and what effects are they having? I mean, bots are being used internally as well as externally. And, I think a lot of the use of bots with HR, where it's, you go in, you ask a question, and somebody hopefully will come back with an answer. But to me, they seem very impersonal.
Yeah.
And from the brand point of view, my own thoughts are that it would be difficult to get your brand over when we're actually using bots so much. What are your thoughts on that?
Are you asking me? Shall I continue? Yeah. Well, we do have a rise of bots in all over, right? In business, in customer service, as well as social media. We're having as well virtual AI creators, right? Which are also going to compete with us. But as I understand, the question is more that, for example, if I'm the audience and I want to reach out to creator, and the creator has set up automations to answer the audience. Is that? I think maybe that's what the question means. And so what on if we are talking about the bots, like the automated messages that you get, I actually think it's very positive, because from both sides, because it allows two people to connect if they fit each other. So for example, if I represent the audience and I'm interested and I'm following that creator, and the creator is doing a mastermind and has courses and etc. on that topic, and I'm very interested and I really like him, and he has all these automations set up on his channel, so I'm trying to reach out to him, right? I write DMs and I cannot, which is normal, because so many followers, like it's normal that you kind of have the separation between you and the audience. However, the bots allow you to overcome these borders from becoming the audience which is here to becoming a very warm lead. Because the bots, what do they usually do? They're set up in a way to bring any follower into a very warm lead. So those bots would usually ask you, like, are you interested in our topic? Would you like to know more? Would you like to have a free guide? Would you like to get into our workshop, and etc.? And like the more questions that the bot asks you, the more he understands if you are qualified, for example, for that mastermind. And so what those bots allow, they allow a normal audience to become a warm lead, which is amazing for the creator, so they get their sales done. And on my side, I'm also getting like information. I'm getting also to that mastermind through that funnel of the bot. So I do see it as a very positive way in that creator economy, right, to connect the two people together.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Christina. I have another question regarding, these bots and AI, because we are coming to the AI just after, the slides, but question about AI, and do you think, and what is the impact, and you are the best person, to answer that, about, the why I need to go, I prefer to go to ask as a personal brand, like you, advisor like you, for my personal branding, instead of going to ChatGPT or Copilot, etc., to ask about what suggestion they have for me, to improve my personal branding. What is the difference between you as the advisor you can bring to me rather than these AI bots?
Yes, so it's a very interesting question, actually. That's also what we are all experiencing now online. That's what I hear actually a lot of my clients. They say, what if we share too much of the free information so that all the people, through reading our social media profiles, through reading our posts, they will not want to hire us to work together, right? As coaches, as advisors, as consultants.
Yeah.
Well, there's this concept, right, nowadays that all information has become free, because you can literally have exactly ChatGPT asking anything for you, and he can answer you anything. So everything you want to learn, it's free nowadays.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between an advisor and a ChatGPT is that the advisor usually implements, and so that's how the AI cannot substitute it, because we need a human to actually sit up and do with our hands all the processes figuratively, right? So that's why knowledge is free, but implementation is paid. So also the advisor is sharing a lot of information online. Like if another person wants it to get done, like I would need to come to you, enter your business, speak to your people, and implement processes necessarily, like to achieve your goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for bringing that. I would like, to go to another topic. Is about the skills, because one of the findings I have shared in LinkedIn is about CEOs and board member, which skills matter most for the next 3 years. The result was tricky because AI and tech proficiency uh, top the top and far ahead and more human strength like emotional intelligence, like driving engagement. This tells us something important, I guess, because while organizations are rightly prioritizing digital transformation, there is a quite risk that human leadership strength are being left behind. And for HR professional, it's a wake-up call, in my view, because in the age of AI, in the age of mastering technology, our personal brand as a leaders reflects both digital fluency and human trust. Christina, here's my question for you. How can HR professional build a personal brand that balance the rising demand of AI that we just discussed and tech skills with the timeless needs for human leadership, qualities like trust, empathy, emotional intelligence? Empathy is very important that we didn't, discuss about this topic about personal brand. But how we can make a balance that, in your view?
Yeah, well, AI is necessary for everyone, right? To just speed up the processes for us to become more productive. So whether we want to build a personal brand or whether we don't want to build a personal brand, AI is just in the picture, right? We have to master it. And when it comes to personal branding, AI can help us speed up so many processes, right? Like even the simple thing, even the simplest of the simplest, the writing part, where when we have ideas to write, AI can help us like actually come up with our thoughts in a written in a better way, right? So AI is there to help us writing to write, for example. Then there are obviously all those automations, like we spoke about, the bots that are also helping the personal brand to grow and develop. So when it comes to AI and tech, that's all for like scaling and to moving with a higher speed. However, I'm as a person, right? I'm creating a personal brand for other people. So I cannot just like be fully, I don't know, a robot, right? There are people who, and like I'm speaking to people and I'm a person myself. So obviously like the higher of emotional intelligence that I have, the better is my understanding of people's psychology, of my own like personality, my personal reflections, the better I can show up myself online and stand out, right?
Yeah.
And communicate clearly. So, so both of them are very, very important, but on two different fields, right? In two different aspects, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. George, we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, it's from Jose again. He came back with a great answer on the use for expansion and growth. What of the privacy and veracity of the brand?
Yeah. So when it comes to privacy, that's what I was speaking about. We need to understand that directly. That once we start showing up online on social media, that anything we say, anything we publish, anything, any photo that we upload to the internet, even if we have closed profile, even if we do that, for example, that it's such a very common story that people are building this professional image of themselves on LinkedIn, and then they would have Facebook, for example, which would be totally different, totally like open with friends, with parties, and etc. And they don't want the two to like they don't want people to see that. But I see that you need to choose between those two. Either you show up fully as yourself with like that you are going to parties wherever, and you accept that people from your LinkedIn can go and check your Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes, and the same. So when it comes to privacy, you do want to understand that anything you put out online is there for everyone to see. Everyone, doesn't matter if you have closed account. So we do want to control it. What is this that we are okay to put online? And that's where it comes. These two things. That where do we see ourselves in 5 years? What's our vision? What kind of like growth do we want to achieve for ourselves? And what are our values? So we want to understand like how do we show up in the world that actually suits that image that I have in my head of the person that I want to become, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We need, and also for the recruiters as well, there is a trend, to look at, the social media before hiring a person, as you said on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook, they are looking at. So everything that you are putting on the web is, look at it for your career. It can be impact, even if it's personal. That's very great advice, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that. The other slide for today I would like to share with you is the data is fascinating. For me, it was fascinating because it's linked to today's discussion, and is about the the half of the CHRO are promoted internally, if we are looking at that, and while more than half are hired externally. And it's strikingly because 40% of those external hires come from completely different industry. What does this tell us? You think that, okay, we have 50 and 40%. Why it's important? Because CHRO role is not only about HR expertise, right, but also about strategic influence, adaptability, the ability to translate people leadership across context, right? It's a role where credibility, trust, personal branding often matter as much as technical expertise. In other words, the CHRO is increasingly seen as a strategic business leader first and an HR specialist second. Christina, here's my question for you. How can HR professional and CHRO intentionally shape their personal brand so that they are not just seen as the HR experts, but as the future-ready business leaders capable of stepping to the C-suite roles?
That part that we see also here in the table, right? We cover, for example, I cover it with my clients on the positioning part. So when we position ourselves, we all want to understand, do we come to represent ourselves as the person who is just going to act like all the other people, like that the marketing strategy, we look at the market, or we look at the blue ocean strategy, right, when we come up to the new fields. And there's this positioning strategy which is called transferable skills. So when we come from one industry and then we start doing something else in another industry, an example would be a football player that started, for example, his own business selling fitness clothes. So because he had a totally different experience, he will bring new skills to that new role of a CEO, right? The ones that maybe the product manager who creates those clothes cannot bring because they weren't football players themselves. So I think in every field, it's very important that you are able, you have that wide experience in every role. Sorry, it's very important that you have a very wide experience in many fields. And that's why, for example, like I'm in Germany, right? And here it's very, very appreciated when a person has like 5+ years experience in one role, so that you can get a good job in that position. But what I see is happening internationally is that, for example, it's actually the other way around. Like, for example, there's a huge boom of those one-person businesses, like founders who are just starting their own thing online, and then 99% of businesses fail, and then they go back and start their corporate jobs. And what happens is that actually, because they were able to like set up the business themselves, being responsible for client acquisition, sales, client onboarding, whether it was the product development, they were responsible for accounting, taxation, right, hiring maybe even some people. And after that experience, they were able to like hold so many hats. And so when they get a job they go back to the market, those people, they actually carry so much experience on their shoulders just for that 1 year of having a business. So I think a huge advantage when you had experience in a different industry, or like even several industries, and then you are coming to the new one, because you can teach, right? People can teach you things. As well as what I see now in HR in particular is that, like when we look at, like Alex Hormozi or Leila Hormozi, or like those huge personal brands, what do they say? They say nowadays that skills are very easy to teach, but personality will never be taught. And so when you choose a candidate, you would better prefer to choose somebody with a better understanding on how to communicate or how to lead people, and then all the skills that are actually like missing, then you can teach him.
Absolutely, it's very true what you are saying, and it's really touched to a lot of people, I'm sure, about this truth of personality. Skills is very important, so don't forget the skills of branding. Just a question regarding another point about AI. Sorry, but AI is very important, coming to our area. So I would like, to discuss about AI again for the last time. Is reshaping private sector roles. It's the AI is transforming the public sector as well too. According to this research, more than 26 million public sector jobs worldwide could be automated. It's huge. With functions like general administration facing the highest exposure. This raises a powerful question for HR and leadership. As technology takes over routine tasks, what will define the value of human contribution? Because it's also how professionals differentiate themselves through trust, credibility, and influence. And for HR leaders in particular, there is where personal branding becomes critical. In a world where AI can replicate processes, it's our human presence, reputation, as you already said, and ability to inspire confidence that will set us apart. Christina, here my question. How can an HR professional build a personal brand that ensure that remain visible, trusted, and indispensable in the future where AI is reshaping so many roles, millions of roles. What is, how do you see HR professional to ensure that to remain visible?
I think in particular, when we're talking about HR, right, and the role of HR to attract new candidates and to show how wonderful it is to work at the company, right? So your role, like the way you represent yourself online, should be very much like very welcoming, right? And at the same time represent the values of the company, and at the same time represent your own your values, and at the same time translate that company's environment that people have in your company online, so it's visible, and so that the right candidates are attracted by that and want to come to the company, right, to work there. And when we talk about trust, right, trust is in every industry. You want to stand up for what you say, you want to keep promises, you want to showcase your expertise online. So slowly but surely, trust is not built just with one day, just because you probably published that you, I don't know, that you spoke on one event and that was it. Like you build it with time, and yeah, slowly but surely, with posts, with whatever you've done, with events, showing your expertise online consistently, and slowly you build trust. Also the feedback from others, right? That's also very, I think, what makes personal brand trustworthy, and why it's so easy to see if you can actually trust that person or not, is because when you come online, anybody can give you feedback and anybody can say anything about you.
Yeah.
And yes, and when you work with like clients, they can also give you negative feedback, right? And so it's very easy to check like what happened with that person, what's the history, what are the clients that he worked with, what were the stories of those works. So I think in that way it's easier to build trust because like it's transparent, right? You can kind of, it's more honest.
Absolutely.
I actually have a question there, because a lot of larger organizations tend to pass people through different roles. So you might have a finance officer that's been working in finance for, say, 3 years, that would then move into the likes of HR. Would you see the personal brand of a finance officer different to that required by somebody in HR, or would they be transferable?
Well, yes, that's a very interesting question. Actually, that's a very interesting question. Usually, when I work, I always say like, who do you want to be known for? So, if, for example, you're currently working in HR, but you do want to transition fields and you do want to be known as another expert in the field, and like forget about that HR history of yours, then we do want to only focus on the future and whatever is going to be applicable for that particular persona. But if you are the person who is kind of like here now in HR, then later exactly he's being transferred somewhere else, your, like the way I see that is your personal brand is your reflection online, right? So it's you creating but at the same time documenting like your life, right? So if that happened and you already started your personal brand and you were in HR and then you transferred into finance, then you just show it, and how it shows that you just like you are more adaptable, you have more things to talk about, you know more. And so before you were sharing, for example, HR topics, now since you are changing into the new role, you are changing the topics as well, and then you can also talk about how it was the change, right, on the like on the moral side of things. So I would say it's more like documenting your journey rather than just like creating from your head things. So you can be open about that, right? You were working in HR, now you're transferring to finance, and it makes you better, it makes you even a better expert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I can actually add one more point. What can happen in such situations, I think that's what maybe you also were meaning, is that there can be different targeted markets, right? So as an HR professional, you may be targeting this particular audience, but then you change and then you kind of start targeting somebody else, and maybe the older audience doesn't resonate with you anymore. And I think here it's very, very important, is just in general to stick to your life, to your goals, and to your journey, and concentrate on where you are and where you want to go, rather than focusing on your current audience. Because as well as with life, right, we sometimes want to make decisions that do not necessarily get approved by our current audience, but we shouldn't be scared that we will lose them, because if they don't like resonate with us anymore, they don't need to follow us. But the most important is we don't need to change because of our audience. We need to know our values, our goals, and like follow our direction and document the journey online. And however the audience will behave, they will just behave. You will lose those followers, you will get the new audience, right?
Yeah. We shouldn't change our, personality because of the personal brand. Yeah, absolutely. To match. Important question. Thank you so much, Christina, to bringing that and helping us to understand. I think it's now time of your slide about, personal branding, the key elements of personal branding. I let you, to present your framework to us and, explain us what is important.
Yeah, so that's like a very small, tiny part of like the whole work that I do. But I think it's very important, because when we speak about personal brand, as I said, a lot of people, they misunderstand and they think it's just social media, or maybe they're just their posts, and yeah, so a lot of people, they just think of it very small, whilst on the other side it's a huge topic, right? It covers so many things on your professional side, on your private side, on your social media side, and etc. And so here I give examples of the 6 key elements that you do want to remember when you show up, like when you start developing your personal brand, right? And so the first one being authenticity. And this is where I said you do want to show up authentically. So whether it's a controlled personal brand, whether it's more like fully open personal brand, in any case, authenticity has to be there, because you can't just like wear a mask and show up online and and then take off the mask and appear in real life, because people who will then meet you in real life will see this difference between you online and you in person, and they will just like it's just weird, like it's not how it works, right? And so with that authenticity, what happens is that you build trust. So, and also it also builds trust and also gives people a nice real impression of you, so that when they actually then meet you in real life, they are not like, they already met you online. So when they meet you in real life, they're like, oh, I know that person already, kind of. So authenticity is a very important part of it, right? And how do you want to be authentic is that you want to be open about your purpose, about your values, and stand for what you believe in, right? So intention matters. What is it that you do and why is it that you do that? And this is why also an establishment, I'm so sorry. I have a kitten and she's like everywhere here.
No.
Yes, so very, very important, the understanding of the values and establishing those values online, so that also your audience connects on your values, and that's how you build trust, right? So then the second very, very important part is consistency. So, and here it comes to 2 different things. So first of all, consistency, very simply, you do want to show up consistent in a way that you do want to post regularly. Like you don't want to just like start posting every day and then forget about everything and stop for 2 months and disappear for 3 months. Things can happen, obviously, but you do want to stay consistent, like showing up regularly and posting regularly. Yes, sorry, tell me.
And Christian, that's why, me and George, we are every Friday consistency, we are doing this, lunch and learn with everyone. So you see, George, our personal brand is great.
Yeah, you're doing an amazing job. I can't believe you're doing this every Friday. That's so consistent.
No, yeah. We follow your, advice, and each week we have a new guest that talking about one HR topic. And thank you so much for being with us, Christina, today. Sorry I cut you. You can please.
I'm super happy to be here. Thank you so much again for inviting me. Yeah, so I was speaking about consistency, right? So two ways: consistency, publishing online regularly, and the second part is that you do want to show up as a consistent brand. So if you have social media, which is not only LinkedIn, most people, right, they do have some other social media, you do want to align your voice and your message across platforms as well as branding, right? So you do want to show up in the same way in all the platforms. Obviously, you can, like, if we're looking at the promotional side of things, we do want to adjust, like, I don't know, the video editing, for example, for YouTube compared to the video editing for TikTok. But you should show up as you, as yourself, because message echoes everywhere, right? Then speciality. So here is where we want to understand how are we going to stand out. And usually we want to specialize on something and resonate with a certain topic. So you want to stand out by focusing on a specific skill that you're exceptional at. So when we think about that, we always want to think of what are we good at, right? What do we love? When we go out with our friends, what can we speak for like 3 hours non-stop? What do other people compliment us on? What is this topic that really, like, starts that fire inside us so that we can share it online? Then value addition. Value addition is very, very important when it comes to a magnetic personal brand and to make people follow you, is that you want to make yourself indispensable by providing value. And you want to give more than anyone else. So that knowledge, we said the knowledge is free. So when you can share as much knowledge as you can, and just like generously with people, you would get a following much, much quicker. And you literally want to think about it like every single day when you put something online. What is this? What value do I bring today? And value doesn't necessarily need to be knowledge, right? The post doesn't need to be necessarily educational. Like sometimes if we post, I don't know, 7 times a week educational content, some people do that, that's normal. But we can also bring up a meme there, right? Or we can bring an entertaining video, because value can be educational. Value can also be in entertainment. You can make people laugh. It's also valuable. But you just want to think like, what is this that I'm providing with this post? Is it going to entertain people? Is it going to educate people, inspire people, do something good, valuable? So that's about the value addition, very important component of magnetic personal brand. Then we have storytelling. People love stories. We connect with other people because of their story, right? And here as well, there are 2 ways to look at it. So there's in general your big story, like your life story, and the ideal way is when you come to see that personal brand online, like their social media presence, you want to read their story. Like you want to have a compelling story that you share online of your life. Like what is the journey that brought you there? What were the challenges that you overcame? What are the, like, who are you? What do you do, right? What happened with you? And you want to translate that story in your content, through your content. So that's one part of storytelling. And the other part of storytelling is literally to post stories online. So, there's this even concept that every person should have 5 stories to put into any conversation, just like in life, right? Yeah. And or like another way to go deeper in that, if you want to, you can even have the journal where you just collect stories from your life, from like different situations, different experience that taught you something, and that could be interesting with others. And so when we talk about storytelling, two aspects, right? Your story translated in an interesting way online, as well as putting posts with stories and telling people stories, because it's very interesting to read that. And you never know, there are things that can be obvious for you that you've learned, but they can be super new and super interesting for other person, right? To read and to learn from you. And the last thing is community. So we always want to think when we post that it's not just like you posting online and that's it. You always want to remember that there's another person on that other side. And whenever we construct a post, we want to write a post that targets one person, so that so that other person who is reading that post, he feels like you are talking one-on-one with him, and that makes you close, that makes you relatable, right? And you do want to grow a community of like-minded people around you, and like-minded is the key word, right? You don't want to just have a community of followers, half of you who hate you and they follow you, for no reason. So you do want to follow a community of like-minded people around you. That's very important. And yes, those were the 6 key elements of personal branding that everyone needs to keep in mind when they're like thinking of their journey and how to plan it and to strategize.
No, that's amazing. Thank you so much. You explained the 6 elements, and what's important is trust of all of them. It's for me, the key elements, we need to put trust in the middle of them. Trust to have authenticity, consistency, spirituality, everything. We need to have trust because people understand that trust. Christina, I have one question regarding all of these. If everyone is doing, and I'm sure a lot of people are doing, following these, key elements practically very consistently every time, but how they can deal with the haters, those who don't like you in the online, in LinkedIn or in YouTube or in TikTok, what we call them the haters. That even though you are following that with trust, with authenticity, except they don't like you, what is your advice for these people that they have haters? Personally, I don't have, maybe I have, fortunately I have, but how we can deal with the haters?
Yeah, well, there's this expression: if you don't have haters, if you don't have enemy, you're not big enough. So, but as I mentioned before, so first thing, you do want to focus on your life, on your values, on your goals, and follow them, like no matter what anyone says, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes, especially online, you always want to think, like, whatever feedback you get in general, in real life or online, you need to understand, first of all, what is the resource of that feedback, and like, is it even worth hearing to that resource? And then only the next one, is that feedback even relatable to me or not? But when we talk about reputation and things like that, it has to be understood that even like whenever you react on things, like it's directly understood by the audience, right? So if there is a hater comment, for example, under your post and you delete it, what does it show? It shows that you react on a certain thing. So with such cases, you do want to take a very individual approach and understand, like, whenever you react on anything, even if it's deleting the comment, it shows that you reacted. And when you react, there is a certain understanding that goes into the audience head that they don't like what I said, right? And yeah, it's like it's like, when we are talking about law, and when they tell you, like, if you don't want to say anything, like, keep silent. So in that case, you also want to look individually, like, what's going on, and don't react. Never react quickly, right?
Very good advice. Thank you, Christina. The second slide is you have shared with me. Take a moment to think about what makes you unique. I really like all of these questions. Can you elaborate some of them?
Yeah, so when we talk about the foundation of the personal brand, like I've mentioned the key elements, which are just like applicable to everyone, but what is the center of it? The foundation of your personal brand, it's your unique value. Because you always want to understand that even if you, for example, our example, HR leader has an experience in this and that field, and there will be another HR leader and has an experience in exactly the same field, and maybe you even finish the same university, have the same qualities, and even a similar personality. Like, you two have 2 different stories, 2 different personality qualities that make you unique, 2 different paths that make you unique, 2 different experiences, 2 different circles that make you unique. So when we talk about every person, they should understand that, hey, you are actually have your own story, you are unique, and what we want to do, we want to understand what it is that makes you unique, and how do we represent yourself in the most interesting manner online. And so when we figure that part out, like, there are 3 questions that I put here that make you kind of like start thinking about that. So the first one is, what are the 3 skills or qualities that you're proud of? So when we can look at it both from professional side as well as like the soft skills, right? Qualities, like character qualities, personality qualities. What are those that like you are so proud of, maybe that nobody else is doing? And here's as well, it can be that you are, I don't know, an extreme high qualified engineer and you're a genius in your field. Or on the other side, it can be as simple as you make people laugh. Like nobody makes people laugh like you know? So that's like the first one that we want to think about. The second one is, what challenges have you overcome that could inspire or help others? And here's, like I mentioned before, there are certain things that happened in your life that you think it was just like a small thing that you've done or achieved, but it can be a huge example for somebody else to follow, right? So we always want to think about, what challenges did we overcome in the past? How did they change us? What did we learn? And how could we talk about that could inspire and help others? And the last thing is, well, what's one thing people always come to you for advice about? And here's like, it's like proven by the audience, proven by a demand. What do people want to hear from you? What do others see that you can help them with, right? Directly, like what is that other thing that are other people looking from you? And yes, when you like start thinking and going deep into the question, into understanding yourself better, then you can understand what it is that makes me unique. What's my unique value? And then the second part is to understand how do we couple it with your profession and show up online in the best way possible, right?
Inspiring question. Thank you, Christina. Can you answer, for example, for you personally, these three questions? How do you answer these three questions for you?
I wasn't expected to be asked that.
Try one word, just one word, each of them, because I'm very sorry for asking, in live, but I was thinking about, this should be applied for your own way as well, because you are, advising, the professional and all the, leaders. But how do you, and it's interesting for me to understand, how do you answer this question about yourself as well? Because it's interesting in my point of view to know.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll try. I wasn't expecting
Okay.
that. Yeah, so what are the three skills or qualities that you're proud of? I think I'm very good with people, so I'm very communicative. I love speaking with people. That's why I also started my business in that area, because I just love hearing others people's stories and to like try to understand them, finding their unique qualities, make them feel good. Like I like that work with people very, very much. And I think that's one of the skills I'm very good at. I have very good understanding of people and the communication part. Then when we speak about the challenges that you overcame that could inspire and help others, well, I've moved countries 3 times, and every time I needed to start over. That's actually also part of my story, why I started my own business, because I did move 3 countries, and every time it was not now, after doing this 3 times, I wouldn't say it was very challenging. But like the first time I was 15 years old, right? So at 15 years old, I started living alone, and yes, like that's a thing to talk about, right? Or the next time when I came here, for example, in Germany, without a language, I needed to look for a job, and here in Germany everything is so complicated. So I think that was a big part of my life, where I think it's like now I'm as I'm saying, it's not very difficult, but when you're doing this the first time, it can be difficult, and like without family or anything, I did that. So, and the last question, one thing people always come to you for advice about, I would say, so when
Personal branding.
personal branding, yes. But before that, it would be like life advice. I had a lot of friends who were very who would like trust me with their like life problems and ask me for general advice, like professional advice, or even parental advice, or even relationship advice, or life advice, I would say.
I have a question that's come up from Jose, Christine. I mean, the question is, how do you reposition yourself, and when would you do it?
Reposition yourself. does it mean that you already have a personal brand, or do you want to reposition? So I do actually, any client that I start working with, they already have a certain presence online. Even if they're not posting, right, they have usually a social media profile. So what we do is, the first thing is we create the new positioning for them. And repositioning happens based on, exactly, starting from where do you want to go, where do you want to, like, who do you want to be known for, where do you see yourself in 5 years, and from there you want to reverse engineer it to today and how you want to show up today. So for example, there's this big very famous phrase, be, do, have. So it's like, if you want to become a new version of yourself, you firstly have to believe that you can achieve that. Then you have to appear as that person already now, do all the things that that person would do in the future, and then you will receive all his success that you do, right? And the same is with online. So repositioning happens is when you start positioning yourself already as if you were there, and slowly, with like, you build up the expertise to prove that you've got the knowledge and things. And I think there was a second part of that question that I didn't answer. What was the second part?
When would you do it?
Oh, when would you would do that? So it depends, right? It depends on where you are in your life. Like, if there is anything, like, you want to do it as soon as possible, as you know that you already have a goal of like repositioning, then why would you waste your time? However, if there are certain things happening, I don't know, with your business, with like whatever that maybe legally, maybe publicly, you are not allowed or not recommended to do the repositioning currently, then you would wait for the moment when that part is over, right? I would answer it like that.
Thank you so much, Christina. We are over the time, so we have a trend. Every week I'm asking two news with our guest. This week I have selected one news that you probably heard about this week. Is about the new regulation, U.S. regulation, that it's required $100,000 each 1B visa fee for reshaping, and these rules will reshape hiring strategies. Organizations might need to rethink how they can attract and retain international talents. And here my question about, how do you think, and I know that you are not HR leaders, but about, in your position, how can HR leaders and professionals use personal branding and in their organization maybe to remain magnetic to top talent and ensure that they are seen as employers of choice at the global stage?
Yes, actually, like, that's one of the advantages of the personal brand, is that you are able to scale yourself from being a leader of like and an industry leader in one country to becoming a global international leader, because online with social media you are very able to scale your reputation and your expertise globally, because your posts can be visible globally. You can do the newsletter, you can do the website, you can do the blog, you can do the videos. When your appearance and expertise is public, then you are not you don't have that thing that you can only work in one country, right? You're borderless. You can go anywhere to work.
Absolutely. So very important. News number 2 that I have selected, Christina, is, I don't know if you're working from home or not, but us as a Europe, most employees in Europe, and there is some news that they are saying that they are not willing to accept a pay cut in exchange of remote work. Flexibility is valued, but not at the expense of fairness and recognition. Remote work, hybrid works continue to redefine employee expectation in the world of work. So, how can HR professional for you and leaders can champion both flexibility and equity in terms of ensuring that they are seen as advocates for meaningful work and not just, following the trend?
Well, I was actually surprised by that, right? Because since COVID started, right, there was all this rise of remote work, and all the employees are so happy.
Yeah.
And all the managers are not. But yes, I would have expected that since you like remote working so much, you would accept a lower pay because you don't need to waste the time for travel, right? You don't need to stay in the office. You can do your work faster, all the tweaks of working at home, like sleep more. So I'm very surprised actually for that. But but yes, I'm very surprised, honestly. I think if that was me, I would accept that.
You accept a pay cut, right?
I'm working, right? I have my own business, so I do operate myself. But if I was working for somebody else, I think I would have accepted it. On the other side, I'm not in general. I'm a person who likes to grow, right, and to learn. And I think going into the office actually makes you grow much faster because you can learn a lot from others. So I think going to the office is not such a bad thing. Like now, a lot of people are total fans of remote working, and they say we should just organize our companies, our businesses, all online and remote. I don't fully agree with that because I think going to the office allows you to collaborate with others as well as learn much quicker from others.
Thank
you. You know, Nicholas, I absolutely love talking about remote work, and I'm going to turn it on its head. Why would people want to take a pay cut when, in fact, they're probably paying more for the use of their electricity because they're working from home? They're paying perhaps more for their heating because, whereas during the normal day, if they were in the office, they wouldn't have the heating on, but they would have when they're working at home. Why would they want to take a pay cut when they're actually paying more for the privilege of actually working from home?
Absolutely. That makes sense.
My thought.
Absolutely, George. Thank you so much. What a powerful hour it has been, Christina. Thank you so much. Before we close, Christina, we have one question that I'm asking every week to my guests, and is what's your top recommendation for organization, for leaders, more about leaders, about this topic of personal branding? What would be your final thoughts and recommendation for each of them about importance of personal branding?
Yeah, my top recommendation would be, come on, like jump on the ball with all of us, because it's becoming a must for everyone. If you are serious about growth, if you're serious about your career, if you're serious about scaling your business, that's the strategy you want to implement, personal branding. And I would say if you're not ready to start posting directly, think about that. So do the reflection work, understand yourself better. How do you want to represent yourself as a personal brand online? And yes, and book a call with me. I can help you out.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So please follow Christina as well. As every week I'm encouraging people to follow my guest, Christina Klena, so you can follow her. I will thank you so much, Christina. So it was very great advice. To strong personal brand allows HR leader to be seen, build trust, attract opportunities, and shape the narrative. Christina, thank you so much for joining us today, and it was a pleasure to have you during this 1 hour. Your insight, your recommendation was absolutely fantastic. To everyone who joined us, thank you for your energy, your comments. Lunch and Learn is coming back every Friday with a new guest next week. This replay will be available in my YouTube channel. I will post after this meeting. I will also answer all your questions that you will have. Until next week, keep leading with humanity. Have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for having me. I really had a lot of fun and was very pleased to be here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you, George.
Christina, thank you so much. I've taken quite a bit away from that today, which is, I love these insightful sessions. And yeah, great.
Thank you so much, George. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, all. Have a happy weekend. See you. Bye.